Once we know how to access the LLM, then the question is, you have your local data. So how do you ingest that data, or how do you make that data available to the LLM? So there are these, again, two models that can be used. The first one is what is called as a fine-tuned model, which basically wherein you provide the data for training the LLM itself. So all that data is used for training the LLM. It's for setting the weight. The LLM might come with its own set of weights, own set of trained parameters, but you will also provide it with your local data to further fine tune that LLM for your specific needs. So you fine tune the data, but the challenge now it has access to your local data. So if you're using with API calls through some third party server, then this is very bad because you're sharing the data with that third party. Also, wherein, when it comes to numeric data, which is what you get from a power flow or your EMS systems, training with that data is not, it's not good for the LLM, because it's not based on a model which is used to seeing a large amount of numeric data, so it can have poor performance. There is also a challenge of retraining with new data. So if you have some new data coming in, the fine-tuned model needs to be trained again for that new data. The other side of it is what is called as RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. And here, basically, the concept is that you will not train the LLM with your data. The local data sits separately, and you will query your local data using the LLM. And so there are different ways, or it depends on how you store the data. So there is no training or retraining that is required, since the data is stored separately. And you can access the data using queries generated by LLM. So for example, if your data sits in an SQL server or SQL database, the LLM will generate the SQL code in order to query the data. And there is this nice data and LLM separation, and there is no retraining needed for the new data. So for ChatGrid, we use this RAG model, or retrieval augmented generation model. And then we were using this API calls, which I showed in so the API calls. So we used to communicate with the OpenAI servers directly.